Ricks, a bright, beloved, athletic, soon-to-be fourth grader who loved math and basketballs, was just 9 years old when he was shot and killed while doing what every child in our city should be able to do without a second thought. He was playing with friends on a warm summer evening just outside his front door. Then shots rang out, and now, instead of planning for a future, Janari's parents are arranging their child's funeral. I want to extend my deepest condolences to Janari's family and assure them and the entire city that bringing this little boy's killer to justice is the top priority of the Chicago Police Department. We have also 4 officers recovering after being shot during arresting a violent repeat offender on last Wednesday. That offender was paroled from prison in April after serving just half of a 5-year sentence for being a felon in possession of a gun. And it wouldn't surprise me at all that Janari's shooter also has a lengthy criminal history of gun possession and gun violence. Thankfully, the 3 officers who were transported to Loyola for injuries were released the same day. The 4th officer struck by gunfire is still being treated in Illinois Masonic, and I visited him this past Saturday, and doctors say he is progressing. He is by no means out of the woods yet, but we're hopeful for his speedy recovery. We also faced another weekend of gun violence that saw 24 shooting incidents and 33 shooting victims, which is the lowest number of any weekend in July. But none of this matters. None of it matters when a child loses his or her life. There were 9 murders of those 33 shooting victims. 2 were juveniles, and unfortunately, Janari became the 38th juvenile murder victim of gun violence in Chicago this year. 5 of these children were under the age of 10. Our detectives are investigating potential leads that will bring Janari's killer to justice. And once again, we ask anyone who may have any information or may have witnessed this tragic incident to come forward so we can prevent the killer from harming another child ever again. Despite these challenges on several fronts, our officers, Chicago PD officers, continue to press forward to take illegal guns and violent offenders off of our streets. Chicago PD officers made 66 gun arrests and recovered 96 guns since Friday night. I'm going to say that again. Chicago PD officers made 66 gun arrests and recovered 96 guns since Friday, bringing the total number of guns recovered in this city so far this year to 5,736 guns recovered just so far this year. 6 of these guns recovered this past weekend was the result of brave work of our district intelligence and TAC team officers in the 5th District, who recovered multiple illegal firearms while monitoring a gang funeral service for potential violence. So at a gang funeral, officers recovered multiple vehicles, multiple illegal firearms. Our officers also made 3 outstanding murder warrant arrests, arrested 3 murderers this week. 13 arrests were for criminal sexual assault and 6 for outstanding warrants for robberies, 1 being an aggravated battery as well. In total, for the week, Chicago PD officers made 66 arrests for violent crime for the week. All of this hard work after 3 officers were shot. In addition, we had 85 officers test positive for COVID in the month of July. I'm gonna say that again. 3 officers were shot this week, and 85 tested positive for COVID in the month of July, for a total of 677 officers who have tested positive for COVID so far this year. But our officers keep coming back, risking their lives for the residents of Chicago to protect this city. Next, I'll have Chief Dinahan come up for an update of the investigation of Janari Ricks' murder.
Good morning. As the soup mentioned, everybody knows what occurred, very close to where we're standing today. So currently we do have a suspect in custody, and I want to thank all the officers and the detectives who have been working around the clock since this incident occurred to arrest this defendant. Specifically want to thank the gang investigations officers who did an excellent job to place this person into custody. And currently we are working with the state's attorney's office to work up the case and ensure we do everything we can to actually charge the suspect. So we are hoping through continuing the investigation that we will be able to secure charges in the next day or two. I think everybody knows basically, as the soup mentioned, what occurred. The young boy's playing out there, not doing anything wrong. As a defendant, he drives up, kind of sneaks through like a cut of a gangway, and then he discharges a firearm, not at this kid, at a group of other males who are standing near the poor boy. And unfortunately, as the bullets are flying, it's the 9-year-old who is shot and killed. And then this defendant makes good his escape. And as I mentioned, the detectives, gathering video, and but basically, we're not in this position without the help of the community who came forward and gave us information which allowed us to actually identify and arrest the suspect. So all the video in the world and all the hard work of the detectives, we're not able to arrest the suspect unless the community comes forward and actually helps us. And in this case, they did. We were able to make a speedy arrest, as the superintendent was talking about, and we're hoping to secure charges within the next 48 hours by working closely with our state's attorney's office. So I just want to thank everybody involved, as I mentioned, the officers, the detectives who have been working around the clock, and then most importantly, the community who did come forward and help us out identifying this suspect. At this time, I'd like to turn it over to Alderman Burnett.
Thank you. First of all, I'd like to give my condolences to the Ricks and the Ford family. I happen to have grown up next door to the Ford family, so it's like my family. Very disturbed about this incident. The unfortunate thing about this incident, all of the assumed people that was involved with this incident all know each other. Matter of fact, they've been knowing each other, their families been knowing each other for over 50 years. So I empathize with the parents of the children who did what they did, but just want to say this, although they all come from the neighborhood, they don't live there anymore. People, you don't live there anymore. Stop coming over to the neighborhood and doing your dirt. Do dirt where you live, or don't do dirt at all. But stop coming to the row houses and doing things. The people in the row houses are just trying to survive, just trying to live, just trying to raise their family. I want everyone to know that the two people, the guy was shooting at and the guy who was doing the shooting, neither one of them live over there. The violence did not come from people who live in the row houses. The violence came from people who come over to the row houses and do their dirt. We need to keep these people out of our neighborhood. We need to make sure that the good people that live in the row houses, that's why so many people stepped up to the plate to talk about who did this, because they want peace down there. They want to live in peace. They want their kids to be able to play. They have playgrounds in the backyard. They want their kids to be able to play in the backyards. They want them to be safe. This young man and his mom both grew up in an organization over here called Batter Hand Club, which is a Christian organization where the kids play and then they pray every day and then they eat. Even those young people who probably did the violence grew up in one of these organizations, but they got turned around. I need to say this. Please, stay out of the row houses. Please, if you don't live over here, stay away from over here. And then those of us in the neighborhood who know that people are in our neighborhood to do bad, we need to let them know. You need to get out of our neighborhood. Go somewhere else. The other thing is, I'm so happy that people stood up and not allow for this young person to just get killed and nobody get blamed for it. I'm glad that people stood up and came to the plate. And we need to stand up more. If you don't say anything, and if you don't do anything, tomorrow it can be your family. I lost a family member to gun violence, and I tell you this, everybody who ever lost someone to gun violence, feel it every time somebody gets killed. Every time someone gets killed, everybody who has ever lost someone, and you immediately think about your family member who got killed by gun violence. If we don't want our family members to get killed, we need to say something and we need to do something. We do not have to live like this. We do not have to have people terrorizing and taking over our neighborhood when they don't even live there. You need to do something and we need to say something. Let's take back our neighborhood. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Randall K. Blakey. I serve as executive pastor of LaSalle Street Church and executive director of the Near North Unity Program. The Near North Unity Program has as its mission to connect and convene residents and stakeholders in our diverse community, enhance its growth, and improve the quality of life for all being the operative word. I first and foremost want to extend my most sincere condolences on behalf of myself and the church to the Ford and the Ricks family for the loss of Janari. Secondly, I want to thank all of my community colleagues that came together yesterday to bring about what we now realize as someone turning themselves in. Next, I want to also appreciate the work that we've been able to do and the relationship that we have, the good relationship that we have with the 18th District. I want to thank the superintendent for being here today, and I also want to thank Commander Stevens. As a pastor, I recognize that as an everyday life experience, that wherever there is sincere and wherever there is devastating tragedy and I lost my thought there. I'll continue. Wherever there is sincere death, there's also going to be sincere resurrection. And so this is an opportunity now for us to think about this community as a resurrected community, a community that can resurrect and come together in the unity that this community was formed on. As my colleagues have stated, as Alderman Burnett stated, these families have known each other for over 50-some years. There's a great deal of love that has existed between these families over those years. We don't know what happened between then and now, but now is the time for this community to come together in unity and to be resurrected. To be resurrected at a time where we can speak with each other, where we can talk with each other. We also want to communicate our sincere concern for the person that pulled the trigger in this particular situation. We know that that person is in tremendous need of someone to speak with, someone to talk to, someone to for them to console with, and we want to be that voice for that person and for that family. I overheard one of my community colleagues speaking earlier about the need for this community to have some type of trauma services to come to our community and to deal with the trauma that everyone in this community has experienced, not only yesterday, but for the last several years. It's imperative that we have those types of services to come to this community for such a time as this. The last thing that I will say is it's tremendously important for everyone in this city to understand that we have to dispel the myth that these are bad people that live in the row houses or bad people that live in Marshallfield Garden Apartments. These are all good, honest, working people. And as they are good, honest, working people, as the alderman has stated, they want to live in peace, and they deserve to live in peace. And as they deserve to live in peace, we want to make sure that we're doing everything that we can in our capability to provide the services that they're going to need so that not only they can get through this particular trauma, but so also that they can continue to live the life that they're expected to live. And that's a life of peace, a life of comfort, and a life of safety. Thank you very much.
Now I'll take any questions. Let's try to go left to right this time, or I guess we'll, yeah, left to right. Yes.
Alderman Burnett, you mentioned that neither the suspected shooter nor the suspected intended target were from the row houses. Could you speak to what they were doing over there at the time of the shooting and what brought them there? Do they come there often? Like, what led up to it?
Yeah. So I would say this: whatever they was doing, they didn't have no business doing it. Right, so they were in the neighborhood doing something that they didn't have no business doing. Whether it was drug trafficking or gang banging or whatever the case may be, they didn't have any business being over there doing it. You know, and it's unfortunate that people try to take advantage of people that know them by doing stuff around them and don't know that they put people in jeopardy when they do that. And that's why, you know, unfortunately, we have a young person that's deceased right now because of that. Folks need to stop putting other people in jeopardy with the things that they are doing that's not legal.
Yes, Jeremy.
You had said that whoever the shooter was in this case probably likely held in history, but obviously since there's so many custody, I'm sure
I'm going to defer answering that question until we charge the person. I think that's the most appropriate response for me at this point. You have a second question that I can't answer?
No, that was it.
Yes. I'm going to repeat your question because it's so important. She asked what made the difference in this instance in bringing someone in custody quickly. It's the community-police relationship. The community willing to come forward and give information to help the police solve this crime. Without the community, we can't do our jobs. We can't. We need the community to help us whenever we have violence in order to be able to solve these crimes. So that's a really important question. I think the answer is really increasingly even more important because I want the community to hear our gratitude towards them in the way they stepped up and were able to bring some closure to this family. Question?
Last time we talked, there was like a Nest camera that caught a glimpse of a car that was used to track down the person involved in the shooting. We have more community support this time. Are you seeing a turn in the tide here with the community trusting police again, at least to come forward with some tips?
And it's tenuous. And I mentioned that word yesterday, so fragile, because all communities are not trusting in the same way. Many communities lack trust completely that we have to build from ground zero. But communities like this, they felt comfortable coming forward with information almost immediately where we're able to solve this crime. And so I guess the best answer I can give is a mixed bag. But I would encourage those communities that don't have a sense of trust to look at this community as an example of how they can be made safer by bringing violent criminal offenders to justice off the streets of Chicago, which makes their neighborhood safer, with the relationship strong enough to trust the police to bring someone to justice. Dina Ham? Yeah.
So as the soup mentioned, right now with the investigation, I'm going to focus on the suspect being in custody, and we'll talk more about the details after, if we're fortunate enough to secure charges. To answer your question now, though, I don't have that information, no. And I don't think that's accurate, but I'd have to dig a little deeper to dispel that completely, but I do not believe that's accurate. This happens, just a rumor, it happened so quick that doesn't even seem to make sense.
I can't hear you. So the question was, what is Chicago police doing to offer protection for those witnesses that do come forward and give information as it relates to violent crime? Really good question. I've heard this question repeatedly. Is there some kind of witness protection program, or can we offer any protection from Chicago? So I've answered it in two ways. One, the U.S. Marshal Service runs the witness protection program in this area. And witnesses that want to contact U.S. Marshals, we, Chicago PD, can facilitate that relationship going forward for witnesses that want to come forward on other crimes. Chicago PD can also offer witnesses some level of comfort, likely not 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and likely not a relocation like the federal witness protection program. So it's a twofold step, but I would just say you're less safe by not coming forward and solving these crimes. You're less safe. I know that the thoughts are I'm safer because now the suspect is not focusing on me, but these suspects running the streets of Chicago kill other people, likely kill other people near you. And so the fact that you don't come forward renders you less safe. So I would encourage you to take a leap of faith, come forward to Chicago PD if you have any information on any violent crimes, so that we can all be safer taking these people off the street. Last question, anyone? Oh. We have been encouraging communities to come forward repeatedly. This is the best example of a community coming forward. There are also other examples where we get tips, but we need to gain momentum in this area in order to see the crime decline in the ways that we all should deserve to be able to have our kids play out in the front porch of their home. So we need more and more of this. We're certainly not satisfied with the level of communities coming forward, but I just want to emphasize this is the best example of a community coming forward. I would encourage other communities to take note. And today, Cabrini Greens, the Marshall neighborhood, is safer because this person is arrested and off the street. And I would encourage you, if you have any information regarding other crimes, to come forward. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.